Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn about how to conduct all kinds of t-tests such as one sample, paired sample, and independent sample depending on the different research questions. So the slides are a little longer than before. Well, in the last lab, we learned to implement z-test. Z-test is commonly used when we know the population standard deviation, whereas t-test is commonly used when we don't know the population standard deviation. So now start with the one sample t-test. Here's the example. A researcher believes that living in NYC has more stressors than other places in the US. So he wants to know if NYU students have a different anxiety level than college students across the country. So the population mean anxiety score here is given as 18. But notice that we have no idea about the population standard deviation of anxiety score. So it's good to go with the one sample t-test. Let's assume that Inner collected the sample from NYU students. So we are using sample of NYU students to make inferences of the population of NYU students, then comparing with the population of college students in the US. So we're going to use the anxiety score as the indicator of the student's stress level. So the research question is, we'd like to know if NYU student anxiety level is any different from that of the college students across the country. To answer this question, we should follow the steps of null hypothesis testing. So the first thing to do is just state the hypothesis according to your research question. So since we're interested in, we expect to see the difference of those anxiety level between two groups, so we can set the alternative hypothesis like mu is not equal to 18. You know, the researchers' interests should all the researchers' interest should go with the alternative hypothesis. So to express our expectation, mu is not equal to 18. Here, the mu represents the population mean anxiety score of NYU students. And the null hypothesis should go the opposite way, so mu is equal to 18. And then the decision rules followed, like if p-value is less than alpha, we're going to reject null, and otherwise we take a null hypothesis. So here we go with the SPSS. Then we're going to use the variable n space. Okay, let's do it. Here, go to analyze and compare means the one sample t-test. Then n space. Then until the population mean, we're testing the 18. And check the option that you see the confidence interval is already set as 95%. It's already set as default in the SPSS. So we've got the results of two tables. Let's walk through each one. So here, you see the statistic for anxiety score. We've got the sample size and mean and standard deviation, standard error of the mean of the anxiety score. You see the mean is 18.43. So we're going to see whether this number is significantly different from the 18. Here, the standard error of the mean is 0.433 is calculated from this formula, like standard deviation over the square root of sample size. Now, this is the result of a one sample t-test. You see the t-statistic and degree of freedom and p-value for two-tailed and the confidence interval at the end. So t-statistic is a 0.993 is computed by this formula, like the mean difference over the standard error of the mean, 0.433, you see here. Then we've got the t-value here, and degrees of freedom, since it's a one sample test, so the degrees of freedom is it's just 100. The sample size -1 is 99. And so we've got the p-value here, 0.323. So you see, you can make a conclusion from this. The p-value is obviously greater than 0.05, so we fail to reject null. So we can conclude that the mean anxiety score of NYU student is not significantly different from that of the college students in the US. So from confidence interval here, we are 95% confident that the true population mean difference should lie somewhere between -0.43 and 1.29. This is the APA formatting report. Actually, nothing special here. Just say the one sample t-test showed that the difference in anxiety scores between the mean of NYU students and the hypothesized population mean of the college students in the US were not statistically significant, and so on and so forth. So this is the end of a one sample t-test, and let's move on to paired sample t-test.